This video will look at creating a filter on a related list declarative action in Service Operations Workspace or any configurable workspace. So in a previous video, I created this add affected users, multi-record associator, related list declarative action. That's a mouthful. When you click on it, you are able to select multiple users and click add, and then it adds them into this table. So the case for this was if I wanted to have an affected users M2M table, many-to-many table on the incident record, and because I wanted to show how many users or which users are affected by a certain incident, I might do something like this. So this is all fine and good, except that when I click up users, when it brings up the users, it's showing me all of the users in the system, active and inactive. So in the real world, we'd probably want to only show active users or maybe users from a certain location or whatever. So we want to be able to filter this list. So this video is going to go through the steps for creating this filter here. Now, of course, you can do it manually as a user. You can go in here and click filter and do whatever you need to do, but we want it to have so when the user picks, as soon as the modal comes up, we only see affected users. We only see active users, I should say. Okay, so we have. Okay, so the first step to this is let's just go back and just rehash what this add affected users, where that is. So if we go to, actually, let's do this in another tab. So we'll pop over to here. We'll go to related list actions and add affected users. Okay, and so this is in the incident management scope. And we should probably, to keep things, we should probably put our, whatever we're doing here into the incident management scope, just to keep everything in one place. Okay, so here is our affected users declarative action. It's a UXF client action, and here's the part that we really want to go to. So let's go to the specified into the client action, which is the action payload definition. And here in the payload definition, we have a property called extensionPoint. Oops, and this was from a previous test. I had that set up. So this is usually set to default by default. So this is what we're going to use to be able to add a custom filter to that modal that pops up. And to be honest, I've never even heard of extension points before having to do this elsewhere in production, and having to read up on how this extension point works. And the documentation is a little bit thin. There is a few pages that explain it, but it doesn't quite put all the, it doesn't quite connect all the dots. So with this video, I'll hope to do that, so save you time from messing around with it and banging your head against the wall for hours like I did. Okay, so extension point. So I will put the links to the documentation pages in the description. So let's go here and pop up extension. And you know what? Let's keep this browser window open and do this in another one. And we just type extension, and right here, system extension points. So there are three kinds of extension points: scripted, UI extension points, and client extension points. In this case, we're going to use a scripted extension point. And so these are the extension points in, there's 66 of them and a whole bunch of different applications, and they serve different functions in each application. So let's go to the one for that takes care of this this action payload definition. And I was able to find this just by, because I figured it was probably called filter or something. And there are a few of them in here, and it turns out it is this one, RelatedListItemCandidateFilter. So we go into here, and this is the name, the API name, and then here it gives us an example of the script that we have to write, and that's going to be written in a script include. And then it gives the instances or the implementations of that of this extension point. So you can see it's used in let's see, CI item, incident item, problem related list, etc. It's used in a few different places. So here it's giving us, so basically the way this thing works is the whatever it is that has the extension point calls this extension point, which is in the sys extension point, sys underscore extension underscore point table. And then this extension point table, and then that function, which is a glide, I gotta find the darn thing. It is this thing, a glide scripted extension point. And again, I'll put this page in the description, but it basically gives back, hey, here are all the script includes for that extension. So it's going to give back all of these different ones. So each one of these script includes is based off of this model here, because here are the different functions that you are going to want. So, and the main show here is in get filter query. So here in the example, it's what it's showing us is what the default behavior is, which is when you call it, it's going to, well, first of all, the inputs on this function are table name, parent field name, parent record sysid, and referenced field name. Now these correspond to the different properties in this JSON payload over here. So we have the table name, we have the parent record sysid, the parent field name, and the reference field name. I'll also link in the description the other video where I talk about each one of these things. But actually, you know, in that video, I didn't give a full explanation of some of them, so maybe I'll just briefly do that here. So the label, that's what shows up at the top of your multi-record associator at the top of the modal. User given table is the table that we're pulling the records from. So in this case, it's the user table. The table, this is the table we're on currently. So in this case, it would be the incident table, because that is the, no, I'm sorry. That's the table that the affected users is going to be, the records are going to be added to when we do this. Which table are we adding record to? So that, in this case, this is the M2M table that I have in here. Well, you can't see the URL, but this is an M2M table. So that's that. The parent field, no, I'm sorry, the parent record sysid, that is the sysid of the incident. In this case, Inc. 9001. That's going to be that sysid. The parent field name, this is the field name in this table for the parent. So where does Inc. 9001 go? Well, if we go into a record on this M2M table, it's in this field called U underscore incident. And then the next one is a referenced field name. So that's the field name from the sys user table that gets referenced. That's the other table in this M2M, the other field in this M2M, which is called sys user. Then our extension point, which is what we're doing right now. And then some other columns that I did talk about in the other video. The most important one being type, if it's M to M or O to M, that has to be right. Columns is also important. You can specify which columns you want to show when you click up the modal here. Okay, so getting back to our extension point example. So table name is going to give us the table that we're adding records to. Parent field name is going to be where the incident is. Parent field name, yeah, that's what in the M2M table where we put the incident. Parent record sysID is going to be the sysID of the incident, and reference field name is going to be sysuser. So we have these inputs to work with when we're trying to figure out this filter query. So you see the default behavior, they use this because what they're doing here is checking the table, right? Setting up a glide record on the table that we're about to add records to, and saying, says here's the add query. So now it's saying, hey, give me back any records in this table that belong to that incident record. Right, and if they already exist, we push them into this results query, and then if we do have records in this array, then give me the return query should be sysID not in and not in the results here. So in other words, that's a very poor explanation for what they're doing here is if I already have records, so you see I already have 3 records in here. When I pull this up, it will not include those 3 records that I already have in that table, right? 694. I have 697 users in this PDI. So 694 is the 3 that are not, it does not include the 3 that are already in the table. In fact, if I go and delete one of these, right now I only have 2, so here I should have 695. Right. So basically, this example is giving us that default behavior, and then the other thing is, well, if you don't have any records already in there, then just return blank, which means no query, just return everything. And then the other part to this, the other function in this example, or this what will be a script include, is the handle, and this is what we actually call the thing. So each of these instances or implementations has a unique handle. If we go into one of them, this one is called default. This is the script include. Okay, not sure about that. Let's maybe I'm lying here. No, here. Okay, so here's one that actually. The handle is, oh, maybe that is actually the default. I don't know. Problem change request query filter. Yeah, I think that actually is the default. That's why related list. Yeah, see, one is in CSM Workspace. So let's just go into that again. Yeah, and this has pretty much, well, with a little bit more, has what the example. Yeah, no, that's pretty much the same thing. So this is pretty much the example, which is the default. Okay, so that's why the handle is called default. But otherwise, for any of the implementations, they're going to have their unique handle. So let's go ahead and copy this thing. Are we on the right thing here? Example, yeah. Let's copy this code. And then we're going to go create a script include. And we'll call this related list add affected users. We will paste our example code in there. And what we're looking for okay, so what we want to do is active equals true. So we're just going to add on to this. Actually, I need the caret. Active equals true. And that's in the case that we already have records. So I want them to be, the sysID is not already in the table, and I want active to be true. Or if we don't have records already, and then just give me back active equals true. Okay, so that should do it. Then we have to name this. We have to give it a unique name. So we can call this add affected users filter. That's good. We'll copy that. And we will save this. Okay, now we have to link. You know what, another thing we should probably do, and I'm not sure if this is necessary or not, but just open that up to all application scopes. Okay, so now we have to link this script include to the extension point. So to do that, we go to another table called extension instances, and there's not actually a module for this. I'll put the table name in the description, but it is sysextension instance. Yes, sysextension instance, that's the table name. And if we go into here, oh, and you know what, I have to get the, here, maybe if we just search for start a filter, yeah, it's this. So here we can see the instances that were in the related list of the other one. So let's just take one of these things. And this record's in the global, so that's okay. So this will give us the, so this is the extension point that we saw in this table, the scripted extension points. Curiously, this is a text field, a string field, and not a reference. I'm not sure why, so you have to make sure you get the right name here. And then class, this is the script include. So this is for another one. We'll pop up our, let's see, we'll pop up our script include, and we called that something with filter, didn't we? All right, what did I call that? That's the problem with, we called that related list add affected users. All right, what happened there? This is my script include, related list add affected users. Maybe because of the scope, I think, because that's a global scope and it's not picking up the other ones. Okay, so let's just go and create a new one in the scope that I'm in. I forgot to copy the name of the, so here, our class should show, yeah, here it is, that shows up. So now I just have to go and get the name. This was star. Okay, we'll pop this in here. Okay, and now we will go back to, just to make sure that that took, go back to scripted extension points and star filter, and that's this one, and yeah, here it is at the top of the list. Related list add affected users is in there. So now our script include is linked to this extension point. So the last step is to specify, is to link that extension or this extension point into the payload definition. So we go back to our action payload definition, right? And instead of default, it's going to be add affected users filter. And I'll just save that in case we have to go back. So now we should be ready to test drive. Before we test drive, I just want to, I want to see how many users I have. I know I have 697. How many inactives do I have? So show matching, I have 3 inactives. So if I'm showing all, I should show 394. Let's delete these because I'm not sure. I think some of them might be inactive actually. Just start fresh here. Okay, so we're back in here. So I should 697 total and 3 inactive, so we should show 694. Do we have a winner? Yes, we do, 694. Now let's add a couple. And so now we should be showing 692, and bingo, there we go. So that is, in a nutshell, how you add a filter using an extension point to a related list UXF client declarative action.